Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today for what is truly a defining moment in the history of Australian football. Today we name the teams who will be part of the inaugural season of the AFL's National Women's Competition. The teams that will compete in the inaugural AFL National Women's League are the Brisbane Lions, the Adelaide Crows, Carlton, Collingwood, the Fremantle Dockers, the GWS Giants, Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. To those clubs who will compete in the inaugural season in 2017, congratulations and good luck. The hard work starts now.
I grew up in Perth and played for the East Perth Football Club and went to Collingwood in '87 and played 7 years there. We won a flag in '90. Came up here in the Nathan Buckley trade, came to Brisbane, played 3 years here and then was 9 years strength and conditioning coach here. Eventually found my way into female talent, which was a new role in Queensland, and eventually now into coaching the Brisbane Lions women's team.
At the time that the licence were granted and the whole league was kicking off, he was the current high performance coach of female talent for Queensland. So he'd had a couple of years in that role. He'd coached our under-18s team since 2014 and was sort of perfectly placed to have really in-depth knowledge about the state's talent. But in the same token, he'd also coached at exhibition level. He'd coached the Western Bulldogs twice as well. He's been a teacher. He's run the High Performance Academy in WA, been a high-level player, been at the Lions. He was sort of the perfect storm of a person. He had all the qualities that we needed and the knowledge we needed, and yeah, he was sort of the perfect fit. Great
to be appointed an AFLW coach. I was actually the first one appointed, so you know, a bit of responsibility, and we knew as a team too that we would be the first Brisbane Lions team out on the park in 2017, so there was some responsibility there to get the club off on the right foot.
Fairly historic day with the announcement of the Brisbane Lions' first ever 2 marquee players for the National Women's League. Very, very proud to introduce to you our marquee signing from the South Fremantle Football Club in Western Australia, Sabrina Frederick-Traub, and a local that you probably know, Taylor Harris from the Zilmere Eagles.
Being named as the Brisbane Lions' first marquee player was really special because I suppose being recognised for a lot of the hard work that I've done on the field, but also to be able to represent the club and for people in the future to look back and see that I was the first player is something pretty special. And
it's hard to put into words. To be the first, I guess, player, one of 2 players to be signed to the club ever, that's history making, and I still can't really explain how I felt in that moment.
It was challenging at times because obviously being in the spotlight a little bit, but also it was something that I was really happy to be a part of.
It goes with you for the rest of your life, and I was very happy then, I still am now, it's still pretty surreal, but an amazing honour at the same time, and yeah, no, very, very happy to be a marquee player.
Craig and Bree actually sat me down at the table and they set it all up to say I needed to help them with something, and they stitched me up a little bit. So Courtney was actually holding the camera and they told me there and then at the table that I was going to be their priority signing. And first of all I thought it was a joke.
We would like to let you know that we are officially naming you as our 3rd priority pick or our 1st priority pick. Welcome to the Brisbane Lions.
Oh, thanks, guys.
On you, Emma.
Oh, that feels good.
She was probably had a lot to do with getting the club really interested in women's football because she'd been whinging in their ear for the 3 years that she'd been here, asking for a team and asking for the Lions to be part of it.
Kind of a bit of a relief that I didn't have to go through the draft and knew straight away that my future was with the Lions. So yeah, I was over the moon. called my parents straight away.
And, we were pretty certain that Western Bulldogs were probably going to pick up Caitlin Ashmore because she'd done a lot of work with them through the exhibition series and sort of been a little bit of a face of their club. Craig had fortunately coached her in one of those Western Bulldogs games, and so he thought, oh well, I'll just give her a call and see what comes. Built that relationship with her, got her to come up and offered her a spot, and yeah, we're lucky enough to secure her for that first season. And once priority picks were done, we were able to pick 2 rookies, in which we took Kate Deegan, and the other one was Delissa Commence, who's you know, also currently captain the Brisbane Heat. Now we get ready for the draft and look to see, you know, what's left in the Queensland market, who we're really looking for, and who else there might be interstate to make up the rest of the team.
So we had over 150 players nominate for the Queensland talent pool for the draft. And it was, you know, we had an idea in our head as to who would be the top of that list, but it's always a case when you get down to, you know, player number 20 and below, that now you're starting to split hairs and really have a look at who's going to fit into your group the best, and things come into it other than just playing abilities. So that's what she did against Yeronga all day long.
Yeah.
She can play.
She can play, mate. She was the best kid in our team for years.
She can play.
I still don't mind this girl.
Yeah, but she's not tipping out any of our other
No.
utilities. And we sort of had a bit of an idea over the last couple of years who'd played well for Queensland in representative games, who are the stars coming through the under-18 program, who are the good athletes. But at the end of the day, it's the ones that are really clean, have got really good kicking skills, make good decisions in the hurly-burly of big games.
But no, we're talking about the last spot on the list. I still am rating her, Caitlin Collins. Like, she really surprised me.
Oh, no need to convince me, she's right up there.
So we took a couple of weeks to really work out the makeup of the team, who we're really looking at all the draft nominations and our talent search day, and we'd sort of, you know, come to a lot of decisions, and so we headed to Melbourne for the draft.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2016 NAB AFL Women's Draft.
To the women here and their parents waiting nervously to see if their AFL dreams come true. Dreams that for so long must have seemed impossible. I wish you all the very best of luck on this very significant day in your football and personal lives.
To make selection 2, I'd like to welcome Brisbane Lions coach Craig Starcevich to the lectern.
With pick number 2, the Brisbane Lions select Emily Bates from the Yeronga South Brisbane Football Club.
I'm a bit overwhelmed. I never thought this day would really come, and I'm sure it's all of these girls' dreams to finally be here and to hear my name for the Lions. I'm really, really happy. I'm just thinking about what next season's going to be like, thinking about what's ahead for me, and I'm just ready to start playing, really. That's what it's all about for us, I guess. So yeah, just excited.
It was sort of surreal that, oh, okay, we've got some players now. Up until then, you know, we'd had the 2 marquees, we'd had the 2 priorities, you know, the tribe was getting a little bit bigger. We're sort of like that last piece of the puzzle, and this was really all about to happen.
Pick 66, the Brisbane Lions select Samantha Virgo.
Yes! Yes! 66! Yes!
With pick 79, the Brisbane Lions select Kate Lutkins. With pick 82, the Brisbane Lions Football Club select Kate McCarthy.
On draft day I was really, really nervous. I was at school and I was meant to be teaching Year 7 geography, so I had 27 boys in the classroom with me, and we had it up on the projector running through, and you know, the count was going on, and then eventually my pick came up as 111, so lucky 111. When it came up, it was just this sudden sense of overwhelmingness, I suppose, and it was so cool to share that with the kids that I teach, because they were just so stoked for me. They were all screaming and yelling, and they ran out of the classroom and said, "Miss Webb got picked, Miss Webb got picked." Over the loudspeaker, the principal started playing the Brisbane Lions song.
It was definitely a dream come true for me. I was over in the States at the time, and Craig called me. It was about midnight, I think, and he said that they're going to take me. And so I started screaming a little bit in the apartment over there. But yeah, it was absolutely amazing to be able to get drafted to the team that I've followed since I was very young.
It was an amazing feeling. I had always wished to play for the Brisbane Lions. I'd supported them from a little age with my family and my brother. We always wore our Brisbane Lions jerseys and came to games. But yeah, it was a dream come true, and I'm so honoured to be a part of it.
Hello.
G'day.
Hi, Stars.
Jados, you've obviously got the news?
Yes.
We just drafted you, so welcome to the club.
Thank you. I honestly still can't believe it.
Hi Britt, how you going?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Have you heard the news?
Yes, my partner just rang me and I'm at work, but yeah, she's just rang me.
Well done. Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Craig. I really appreciate everything you've done in the last few weeks and having me out there and being a part of the team now.
I've played footy for about 10 years, and the one sport that really stuck with me, I've played so many different sports, but this has always been the one that I've loved, and to do it for the love of it and then eventually get the opportunity to be an elite sportswoman in that field is, yeah, it's a dream come true.
After the draft, it's always a bit of a relief, and you've got the 27 players that you've preferred to have on your list. So yeah, we're super happy after the draft that we could look back and say, yep, we're really comfortable with that 27.
We knew that if we could get the right mix of coaches, we could be pretty successful pretty quickly. Almost Dan and Brent in a way are more like mentors, that this is how you be a professional athlete, and helping them get the skills that they need. You know, when they were coming to the club, they knew all the people, they knew the receptionists, they knew where the footies are kept, they had all that historical knowledge that could, sort of skip ahead lots of steps.
Obviously a blank canvas with the women, and it's untested, so there's lots to look forward to. And
our third coach, David Lake's a highly decorated, long-standing coach in the men's state league, and NEFL previously to that with both Mount Gravatt and Morningside.
I find that the women are willing to learn and really want to know about the game and get better at it without having a go at. Men know most things about footy and they've got a different approach to it. I just find the women are a lot more willing to learn and want to go forward. So I find that, quite refreshing.
David's that very technical, strategy-driven type coach, so he'll provide a lot of that game-style education, and then Craig's that kind of calming influence over the top as our leader. So we've got a good mix, and looking forward to seeing what they'll be able to get out of the girls.
No doubt, we want to win this thing, right? But we also want it to look good, and we want to actually inspire the next generation coming through. Guys, welcome everyone. To our very first meeting together, I think, as a complete group, staff and players. First day of the club, really, and we can't wait to get through everything we need to today so that we can get to Monday and just get started, finally. What's our business or purpose for this year? Now, absolutely number one this year when we start a new club, we want to do this. We actually want to try and set ourselves up to win the first flag. So everything else that goes on, I know there's lots of other bits and pieces around the edges in terms of being good role models and inspiring the next gen, but we are preparing ourselves every time we go out and train, every time we have a practice game, every time we meet. That's our ultimate goal for this year, and it should be, I think.
So we held an induction day about a week before we were going to have our first training. People might not know, the girls are not full-time athletes, we don't have a lot of access to them, so there's a lot of information that you have to get through quickly, particularly concerning their player contracts, their rights as players, what's expected of them, what do they need to wear. We got through all that sort of admin-y stuff, and then obviously launched into what we were going to be about as a team and what we were going to try to achieve this season.
But if I do a lap of Australia, we've got South Fremantle connection, we've got an East Fremantle connection, we've got a North Cairns Saints connection, with us Tigers. We've got that's no good, Tigers. We've got Hermit Park Tigers, Maggie Island. We've got Boyd Island, Tannum Sands Saints. We've got Zilmere, we've got Wilston Grange, we've got UQ, we've got Cooperoo, we've got Yeronga, we've got Cooley, we've got Muggers, we've got Melbourne University, we've got Burnie Dockers, we've got Clarence.
At the end of that day, the girls were all given their contracts to sign. It was a bit of a special moment that they became official AFL players and put pen to paper, and that was sort of a great moment.
Satisfying. I was the first person to sign my contract. I didn't know at the time, but Bree actually told me that after I signed it and handed it in to her that I was the first one, and there's actually a photo of me handing it to her and our faces both explain it all, and there's a massive smile on both of them.
When you sign the dotted line, it becomes binding, and then you kind of get goosebumps in a way, and then obviously running on the field is a completely different feeling, but to make it official, definitely one of the best moments of my life so far.
Our tentacles are all across Australia, but we come together as one group, the Brisbane Lions. We start training on Monday, and the quicker we can get the group to come together, the more success I'm certain we're going to have. So well done today, and let's rip into it Monday. Can't wait. This has been a long time coming for these players. We're glad that we're now part of the Brisbane Lions, and we can't wait to get out there and make everyone proud.
It was hard, it was hot, very hot.
Our captain for 2017, it will be Emma Zilke.
She may have a fracture.